Hello, friends. Welcome to Family Storytime. My name is Emily, and I'm from Franklin, Hennepin County Library, and this is Teddy, my imaginary talking bear friend.
Can I sing a song, Emily?
Well, of course you can, Teddy. Teddy sings beautifully. And yes, you may, meaning I give you permission. Do you know the difference between those two words?
Huh?
A lot of people don't. We say the word can to mean that we are physically able to do something. I can sit on my porch. I can wave my hand. I can read a book. We use may to mean that we have permission to do something.
Oh, I get it. Emily, may I have a cookie?
No, Teddy, you may not, because we are doing family story time. Not only that, but I don't think you can eat a cookie because you are imaginary.
But I can imagine it.
Oh, can you? I got an idea. Let's finish family story time and then I will imagine it for both of us. Deal?
Deal. Now, Emily, may I sing my song?
Please do.
Okay. Said a thousand-legged worm as he gave a little squirm. Has anybody seen a leg of mine? If it can't be found, I will have to hop around on the other 999. Hop around on the other 999. If it can't be found, I will have to hop around on the other 999.
Oh, Teddy, that was great. Do you know that song? Teddy, I'm really glad you chose that song because you know what today's family story time is about?
Numbers?
No, it's about worms. And guess what I have here? I have worms from our garden.
Oh, yuck, Emily.
Why do you say yuck, Teddy? The worms are great friends for our garden. Come on there, little guy. Ooh. Their digging loosens up the soil so our plants can spread out their roots a little bit better. And their castings make our soil rich and nutritious. This one really wants to escape. Mostly today's story time is going to be about earthworms. But let me tell you, there are a lot of different kinds of worms besides this guy. Some worms are so small you need a microscope to see them. Other worms can be as long as 165 feet. That's about as long as 3 school buses. Many of these long worms are also the oldest. They can be as old as 100 years. A lot of those big worms live in the ocean. So, can you find worms in the North and South Pole even? Or how about deserts or mountain tops? Let's read this book, Curious About Worms by Kate Waters. Says, what can wiggle underground, sway in the ocean, or even live at the South Pole?
I know. Worms.
Worms live in every environment on Earth. You'll find them in deserts, forests, grasslands, tundra, and both freshwater and saltwater. Some worms even live inside or on animals.
Oh, yuck.
There are many species of worms.
Emily, what's a species?
Well, Teddy? Whoa, that worm is escaping. Come on, you guys, stay there so you can get back out in our garden later on. Don't go anywhere. Maybe I should put him back in the jar. I'm glad you asked about species, Teddy, because I went to the library and I did some research. And what I learned lent itself very nicely to a
Parody. Oh, Emily, I love parodies.
May I sing it?
Yes, you may.
All right. Life is divided into kingdoms. Kingdoms are divided into phylum. Phylum is divided into classes. Hear the words of science. Classes are divided into orders. Orders are divided into families. Families are divided into genus. Hear the words of science. Genus is divided into species. Species cannot be divided. Oh no, species cannot be divided. Hear the words of science. Ready, Teddy?
You do it again.
Life is divided into kingdoms. Kingdoms are divided into phylum. Phylum is divided into classes. Hear the words of science. Classes are divided into orders. Orders are divided into families. Families are divided into genus. Hear the words of science. Genus can be divided into species. Species cannot be divided. Oh no. Species cannot be divided. Hear the words of. Okay, Emily, I'm ready. Okay, Teddy, take it away.
Life is divided into kingdoms, animals and plants. Kingdoms are divided into phylum. New words are fun. Phylum is divided into classes. Go mammals! Hear the words of science. Classes are divided into orders. Orders are divided into families. Families are divided into genus. Hear the words of science. Genus divided into species. Species cannot be divided. Oh no, species cannot be divided. Hear the words of science.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, these worms are going all over the house. Oh, stay there with the dirt, guys. So yes, our science lesson. Back to it. I think it's your question, Teddy. What are you going to ask me about? Oh, I know. So, in short, Teddy, a species is a division of a division of a division of life forms. Worms and animal and humans and bears are all from the animal kingdom. But at the next level, at the phylum level, we separate from worms. Worms are from the phylum of Annelida, or animals that do not have a backbone and do not have obvious appendages like arms and legs.
Well, Emily, snakes are a lot like worms. Are they in the same species?
No, Teddy. Snakes do have a backbone. Worms do not. Take a look at this picture.
Oh, wow, it's a skeleton.
Can you see the backbone of the snake? Snakes are from the class of reptiles.
And Emily, people and bears, we're from the class of mammals, right?
That's correct. And that's how we divide it.
Well, Emily, how do worms get around if they don't have any arms and legs?
Well, as you can see, Teddy, they get around just mine. They're all over the furniture now. No, actually, Teddy, I'm going to show you a picture from my book. And that picture shows what they do have. They have bristles.
Bristles?
Yes.
Oh, wow, they look kind of like toenails.
Yes, and those bristles will grip the soil. And what we have, you can even see these guys doing it all over the place. Okay, so tiny bristles that help it move. Squeeze, and earthworm's back bristles grip the soil. Stretch, its front segments move forward. Squeeze. squeeze. Now its front bristles dig into the soil and stretch. Its back bristles let go and the earthworm pulls those segments forward. Slime on its body helps it move through the dirt. Oh, I can imagine that. I bet you can too. Lie on the ground and imagine your feet are back bristles gripping the soil. Now, reach your arms way up over your head and dig your fingers like front bristles into the soil. Let go with your back bristles and pull yourself forward with your front bristles. Now, let your back bristles dig in and stretch your segments forward and squeeze your front bristles further this time. Keep doing this while Emily reads the next page. This might be even better exercise than the teddy bear chant. Earthworms can dig down as far as 6 feet. As they burrow in the soil, they eat the dirt, the dead plants, and the leaves. Whoa, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be eating any dirt today. You can just imagine that part. Now, let's do the worm dance again. Segment stretch, front bristles dig in, back bristles let go, and squeeze. Let's do the worm dance again. Segment stretch, front bristles dig in, back bristles let go, and squeeze. Let's do the worm dance again. They leave behind waste materials or castings after they digest their food. This digging and worm waste is good for the soil. Let's do the worm dance again. Earthworms like moist, dark environments. They breathe through their skin, which has to stay moist. You will not see earthworms in the sunlight unless you lift up a rock or dig into the soil. Earthworms do not live in the dry, hot desert or in places where the ground is always frozen. Emily, may I stop now? I'm getting tired of squeezing and stretching. But you can keep on if you still want exercise. I can imagine you squeezing and stretching all over your living room. Let's do the worm dance again. You know, Teddy, this book has many more pages about different kinds of worms living in our world. If you would like to read more, call up Hennepin County Library and request Curious About Worms by Kate Waters. Emily, you're not gonna finish the book? Nope. Is that allowed? Well, sure it is, Teddy. Reading is fun, and I think we got everything we needed to from that book. Now stay in the dirt there, worm. And we learned about the earthworm, which was the whole point of it. And I think it's time to read some fiction. You mean make believe? Yes, I do, Teddy. And I have a new favorite book. It's called Worm Loves Worm by J.J. Austrian, with illustrated by Mike Carato. Okay. Worm Loves Worm. Wonder how many of you worms love each other. Worm loves worm. Let's be married, says worm to worm. Oh, yes, answers worm. Let's be married. Wait, says cricket. You will need someone to marry you. That's how it's always been done. I'll marry you. Oh, good. Now we can be married, says Worm.
Wait, says Beetle. You've got to have a best beetle. Well, naturally, that would be me.
Now can we be married, asked Worm.
Wait, said the bees. You need bride's bees. Can we be the bride's bees? Please.
Yes, said Worm. Now, can we be married? Well, you'll need to get rings to wear on your fingers, says Cricket. That's how it's always been done. Oh, but we don't have fingers, says Worm. We can wear them like belts, says Worm. Wonderful, says Worm. Now we can be married. Well, just make sure you have a band so we can dance, says Beetle. But we don't have feet to dance with, says Worm. We can just wiggle around, says Worm, like this. Oh, fun, says Worm. Now we can be married.
Oh, but you still need a white dress and a tuxedo and a top hat and tons of flowers. And a cake with frosting,
Say the bees. But we don't have heads for hats, says Worm, or hands to hold flowers. And we only eat dirt, says Worm. Wait, says Spider. I can attach the hat and flowers to you with my sticky web. Thank you, says Worm and Worm.
but who'll eat the cake, says the bees.
Well, I can eat the cake along with Cricket and Beetle, says Spider.
What did you say?
Asked Cricket and Beetle. Nothing, says Spider, with a smile. Now we can be married. But which one of you is the bride? Asked the bees. How can we be brides bees if we don't know who the bride is? I can be the bride, says Worm. I can too, says Worm. But one of you has got to be the groom, or how can I be the best beetle? Asks Beetle. I can be a groom, says Worm. I can too, says Worm. We can be both. Amazing, says Spider. Really? Asks Beetle and the bees. Wait, says Cricket. That isn't how it's usually done. Well then, we'll just have to change how it's done, says Worm. Yes, says Worm. And so they were married because Worm loves Worm.
Oh, Emily, that's so romantic.
And they lived happily ever after.
Oh, I like that book.
And now let's happily ever after finish family story time so we can get our worms back in the ground. Thank you, caregivers, for talking, singing, reading, writing, and playing with your children, imaginary or other words.
Emily, what are we going to do for our next story time?
Well, Teddy, I thought we might do a story time on ducks. Do you remember when we saw the ducks?
Oh, yes, that Lake Harriet.
Yes.
Emily, Emily, don't forget to tell them about the fringe.
Well, I don't know, Teddy, if we may tell them about the fringe.
Well, I may because I'm imaginary. We're going to be at the Minnesota Fringe Festival. Teddy Talks with Em and Ted.
there's gonna be a lot of parodies. And now, Teddy, can you sing the goodbye song?
Well, of course I can, Emily. Shall I?
Yes, please.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. See you later. That's my line, Emily.
Bye bye.